palavra diorama é uma palavra bem interessante, porque entender o que ela significa também ajuda a gente a entender o que são esses objetos. Mas a palavra significa ver através, diorama. Os dioramas, eles são esses cenários, essas representações que a gente encontra muitas vezes nos museus, principalmente nos museus de história natural, museus de antropologia, de etnografia, né? Onde você tem a representação de um ambiente, de uma cena, ou de um comportamento de um animal ou de um grupo cultural, né? E esses objetos, eles aparecem nos museus mais ou menos a partir do século XIX, e eles vão se ampliando, né, e crescendo dentro dos museus ao longo do século XIX e início do século XX. Eles têm uma origem muito interessante, porque eles vêm também de iniciativas que aconteceram no século XIX, ligadas ao teatro, aos espetáculos com iluminações, com ilusionismo, né? Então, essas técnicas que foram bastante desenvolvidas ao longo do século XIX foram sendo levadas também para os museus para a criação dessas representações. Então, ele tem esse aspecto interessante de misturar arte e ciência nos museus. Mas ele também vai sofrendo, ao longo do meados do século XX, muitas críticas, porque aparecem os museus interativos, né? Os centros de ciências, os science centers, né? Então, toda aquela ideia de que a aprendizagem, a interação física, né? Ela é importante na relação do público com o museu. E esses objetos, esses cenários, são considerados objetos muito estáticos, muito parados. Mais recentemente, acontece uma retomada desses objetos, exatamente porque se percebe o potencial educativo que eles têm. Muitas pesquisas vêm sendo desenvolvidas mostrando como é que as pessoas criam histórias, criam narrativas, observando as cenas, né? A partir dessas cenas, eles vão podendo compreender como é que o mundo natural se comporta, né? Ou como é que os cientistas acham que o mundo natural se comporta, né? Porque a gente não pode esquecer que sempre são representações feitas pelos seres humanos. Logo, são representações que se originam, né, naquilo que a ciência está interpretando sobre o mundo natural.
So dioramas are an invention from the middle of the last century, and they were originally developed as kind of a way to show to the public what the world looked like. So they were literally thought of as windows on the world. But research is more and more showing that dioramas, rather than being sort of one-to-one versions of nature, they are rather versions of nature as science sees nature, or as people see nature. So one diorama that I'm particularly interested in is from the African Mammals Hall in the American Museum of Natural History in New York. This is a fairly typical diorama. It's from the middle of the last century, and it shows, among other things, a group of zebras. So they're called plains zebras or common zebra. And they're standing in kind of a nuclear family formation. So there's a male zebra kind of standing over a smaller female zebra, and then there's a zebra foal suckling the mother. So you have this kind of nuclear family constellation of father being the strong protective one, mother being the nurturing one, and the baby being nurtured by the mother. So the problem with that is that plains zebras don't really live in nuclear family constellations like that. They live in harems where there's one male and a lot of females and a lot of babies. So this kind of constellation you see here is more a reflection of a nuclear family ideal that was prevalent at the time. And the more you look at dioramas, the more you see these kind of nuclear family patterns in them. Another diorama that I'm quite interested in is also from the American Museum of Natural History, and it's a diorama that shows indigenous people in the rainforest. And just like we saw in the example with the animals, we see present day ideology reflected in the way that we show indigenous peoples and also historical peoples. So in this particular example that I'm interested in, you can see there's quite of a strong difference between the way that the male humans are depicted and the female humans are depicted. So the depiction of the male human as being the active, strong person, and the females often being in positions where they are close to the ground, crouching, often more passive, often carrying out other kinds of more kind of household labors, and often being the childminders. This reflects perhaps not so much what we know about indigenous peoples and what we know about prehistorical people, as it reflects the way that we want to look at these peoples. So there's a kind of gender role depiction there that reflects something that might not actually have been the case. Dioramas are a thing of the past, but they still exist in many museums today. And I think we might not be able to use them as windows on the world because they don't really show nature or animal and human life the way that it perhaps is. What we can use them for is to think about how science sees nature and how culture sees nature. So we can use them as a lens on our own culture rather than using them as a lens on nature.